So today is May 24th, 2025. Sean Diddy Combs' big federal case, well, it's still happening right here in New York City. After the Memorial Day weekend, Combs is up against a bunch of charges like being involved in sex trafficking, cheating people, and also moving people for bad reasons. Since he's super famous and these accusations are really serious, a whole lot of news people are covering this. So, this music big shot, Sean Diddy Combs, also known as P. Diddy or Puff Daddy, the guy whose reputation isn't so good anymore, his big federal trial is just about to kick off. He's facing a bunch of charges, especially for things like racketeering and sex trafficking. The lawyers for the government say that Combs and some of his buddies were like a criminal group. They say Combs used his power and money to trap and control girls, often making them take drugs, forcing them to have sex, and even hurting them. He also used his big name in music to control other people and make them join in planned sex events. And that's not all. They also say Combs used his pull in the music world to control people and make them go to these specially planned sex parties, which were sometimes called freak-offs. At these parties, they say, people were doing drugs, some were forced to have sex even if they didn't want to, and others got hurt. Combs says he didn't do any of these things, and right now he's locked up by the federal government and can't get out on bail. Yeah, this musician P. Diddy or Puff Daddy, he's got so many hit songs like Bad Boy for Life and Can't Nobody Hold Me Down, and a whole lot more. And get this, he even once had the key to New York City. That's a pretty big honor. So today, the charges he's up against include sex trafficking, forcing people into prostitution, and also racketeering. So, seeing him in court today because of these federal criminal charges, for him, Sean Combs, the guy who used to be Puff Daddy, this is like a really big fall from where he was. He's 55 years old and he says he didn't do any of these things. He's pleading not guilty to all the charges. Prosecutors say he used his power to force some girls to go to these really long parties where drugs were also being used. He called these events freak-offs. And after these parties, he would scare the girls so they wouldn't tell anyone what happened. Prosecutors say these freak-offs they talk about, they were really just sex parties that seemed to go on forever. Some of these parties would last for days, and they'd use drugs like ecstasy or other party drugs to, keep them going. And get this, the girls who were there, they weren't allowed to leave. So in this case, what everyone was really waiting to hear was Cassandra Ventura's testimony. She's a singer, and people usually call her Cassie. She's the main person in that video everyone knows about now, the one that's gotten such a bad reputation. This upsetting footage shows Combs back in 2016, chasing her down a hotel hallway, throwing her to the ground, and then kicking her. So the very first piece of evidence shown to the jury today was the video and photos from that violent attack. Everyone was leaning forward, their eyes just glued to that video, and I'm telling you, the courtroom went completely silent. So quiet you could hear a pin drop. So, a security guard, he only got there after the fight. He told the court, that guy's eyes, they looked just like a devil's, and one of Cassie's eyes was all black and blue. Another witness also said that someone paid him to get intimate with Cassie, and Diddy was right there watching. It's said he was also asked to pee on Cassie. You've already heard a lot about sexual things in the prosecutor's opening statements. And the defense lawyers, too. You heard about oral sex. You heard about the missionary position. You heard about someone putting baby oil on someone else. You've heard so much, this case is not for the faint of heart. So, Cassie and Diddy, well, they dated for almost 10 years, and they also had some really popular songs together like Me and You and Must Be Love. That's pretty amazing, huh? You know that lawsuit she filed against Diddy in 2023? The details in it were very direct and really upsetting. This whole thing changed everything, and it was this lawsuit that actually made the federal government start investigating if this big shot really broke the law. So Diddy said those claims aren't true. He settled the case privately, and he didn't admit he did anything wrong. This morning, Diddy's mom and his kids all came to court to support him. A spokesperson for the Combs family said this is obviously a very hard time for them, so they're trying to stay strong and take care of each other. So how is Mr. Combs staying so positive?
I think, it's clear there's a lot on the line here, so he's just ready today to tell his side of the story in court.
He's smiling again and even blew a kiss to his family.
He's paying really close attention to what's happening in court, and he's actively speaking up for himself.
Both sides gave their opening statements, and they each explained their side of the story. The prosecution team, which is made up of all women, said that Combs used the people he trusted most around him to commit a whole bunch of crimes, including kidnapping, setting fires, and sexual assault. This is the Sean Combs that everyone knows. He's Puff Daddy, also known as Diddy, a big name in music and culture, a businessman who seemed really great. But they say he has another side, and that side was running a criminal group. The prosecutor said, it was the people right there with him, his super close circle, that helped him do all those bad things, and they managed to keep it all hush-hush from everyone. So yeah, that's how they explain why these things could go on for such a long, long time. At least 3 of P. Diddy's alleged victims are expected to testify in court, including Cassie. There's also another woman who the prosecutor called Jane in their opening statement. The prosecution says P. Diddy forced some women to go to his so-called freak-off parties. It said he also had special requests for how Cassie and Jane dressed. They had to wear sexy lingerie, wear platform high heels, and get white manicures. Diddy's lawyer says, hey, the stuff that happened between them, it was all something they both agreed to. No one made anyone do anything. They also said, this rapper, well, that's just how he lives his life, you know. He likes to party with a lot of people. And sometimes they would even, switch partners. Diddy's lawyers also made a point to say that these women, they were all grown-ups. And get this, when they joined in on those freak-offs, they were totally willing and said yes themselves. Defense lawyer Tenny Garrigou, here's what she said in her opening statement. This stuff, well, it might not be the kind of thing you all do in your own bedrooms. But look, you're not here to judge what they like to do in private. Then she added, if a person freely joins in on this kind of sex life, that's not sex trafficking. That video, the one that's kind of hard to watch, the defense lawyer talked about that too, right at the start of the trial. They were super clear about it. They said it was really domestic violence. Lawyer Garrigou said, domestic violence is not sex trafficking. What if the charge back then had been domestic violence, or if the charge had been for hurting someone? Then we wouldn't even be here today. The defense lawyers admitted, Sean Combs, well, he definitely has his share of problems. He might have even been involved in domestic violence before, but his lawyers are saying, hey, that's what he's charged with. So, to put it simply, what they're saying is, sure, he might be a bad guy, but the wrongs he did are from what he's on trial for today. When the trial got started, the very first witness's story took the jury all the way back to Los Angeles in March 2016, right to Hotel, the one where that super famous security video was recorded. When he got to that floor, he saw broken glass on the floor. A vase was also broken and flowers were scattered everywhere. The security guard said he went back to Diddy's hotel room. He stood at the doorway and Ventura was inside the room packing her things and a man was sitting on the edge of the bed. Okay? So first up, the first witness, they took the jury right to that hallway. And there, he described how Sean Combs was staring her down. That look in his eyes, wow, it was just like a devil's. He also talked about Cassie Ventura's eyes, how they were all red and swollen and even turning a bit purple at the time. So that Sean Combs, he tried to give the witness some money to keep him from talking about what he saw, but the witness said he just wouldn't take that money. Okay, so this second witness, his name is Daniel Phillip. He said he got paid a few times to have relations with Cassie, and these things happened at a few fancy hotels in New York City. He also said he would get paid anywhere from $700 to $6,000 each time, and Diddy was there watching the whole time. So Mr. Phillips agreed to go to the Gramercy Hotel. He thought he was going to a bachelorette party to, provide some services, or at least that's what he thought at the time. But when he got to the hotel, guess who opened the door? It was Cassie. He didn't know it was Cassie at that moment. And then Cassie told him, hey, it's my birthday today and my husband wants to give me a special surprise. So could you maybe give me a massage with this body oil and then we'll just see what happens next? So people say that when these meetings were happening, Diddy would be in a corner with a bandana over his face and then he'd, do himself. He also said that Diddy would often direct him or even tell him to step aside. Why? Because Diddy would say he was about to do some, Sean Combs style things. His kids and his mom, they all came to court to support him. But when the testimony got really graphic, his daughters stood up and walked out. When they came back in at one point, the testimony got even more graphic, talking about things like ejaculation and urination. Phillip also said he saw Diddy drag Cassie and hit her. When the prosecutor asked him why he didn't try to stop it, this is what he said. I thought at the time, this guy has so much power and so much influence. Chances are, even if I went to the police, I might end up losing my own life. Everyone's really waiting for Cassie to testify tomorrow, and get this, she's 8 months pregnant. So, this case, let's be real, it's all about Cassie. She hasn't talked about this in public before, except in that civil lawsuit. And now, she's going to take the stand as the star witness. Cassie's husband, who's also the dad to her kids, was seen in court today. If Combs is found guilty, he could be in jail for the rest of his life.